Who was the dumbest person you ever met? How did you know? Girl in my class asked the professor if other countries have moons too. I had a guy at work tell me that Benjamin Franklin was the 100th president because he's on the $100 bill. I know a guy who thinks the special tea he drinks negates the negative health effects of his pack-a-day smoking habit. I know a guy who vaped mercury on a dare. We hired a girl a couple years ago. I told her where the manager's office was her first day. Second day, she asked me where the manager's office was, so I walked her to the door. Third day, she asks me where it is again. Our manager chewed out the girl who trained our new recruit for not teaching the job properly. The trainer pulled out her phone and showed the manager a picture of the girl wearing the uniform backwards and said, "Look at this. This is untrainable." New girl got fired about 3 weeks later for stealing the product because she thought she got it for free because she was an employee. Edit. Some of you are kind enough to give her the benefit of the doubt about not finding the office. Unfortunately, this office was located on the second floor, which consisted of a hallway with a single door and nothing else. It wasn't possible to get lost. Also, spelling. I had a boss who told me that she never kept leftovers from a meal because that's how polio got started. I was working in a French company. We were working with a dev team in Vietnam on Summit project. The project manager they report to in HQ is French. They didn't like him, and he knew it. The Vietnamese team did some great job. He wanted to find the correct words to congratulate them, hoping to smoothen the future relationship. He sent that incredible thank you email. When we see the quality of your work, we can only realize how sad it is that we lost you guys as a colony. I asked a temp at work to weigh a couple of lever arch files for postage. She came back and told me they were 65 kilograms. I asked if it were possible that it was 6.5 kilograms, but she insisted it wasn't. We argued about it for a good 5 minutes. It wasn't until I asked her how much she weighed, 59 kilograms, that it finally twigged that these two small folders couldn't possibly weigh more than her. A girl in my class in middle school genuinely thought people had landed on the sun. Her explanation for this belief was to insist that the moon and sun are made of the same stuff. A friend that told me that drinking protein shakes means that my muscles are all fake and fat. I had a college roommate that said exactly this. He was like, "Well, look at me," and flexed his muscles, puny BTW, and said, "Your muscles don't count because protein drinks are steroids." Like, okay bro, whatever you say. He had just purchased a new high-powered BB gun. We had just finished shooting it in the backyard when he points the barrel at my face and pulls the trigger several times. I tell him to stop being an idiot and he just laughs and says it's not loaded. Then the moron puts the barrel in his mouth and pop shoots a BB right through his tongue and into his uvula. I live in southern Spain. I once met a girl from the US who was here on some kind of exchange program. When I asked her how did she like Spain so far, she said, "I'm loving it. I just don't know why the plane took so long to get here. I mean, we are just a bit below Mexico. I don't know why the flight was so long." Then I told her that we were in Europe and she didn't believe me. Her reply was, "Europe? It can't be. Everyone speaks Spanish, so we must be somewhere near Mexico for sure." She was in uni. I still don't know how or why. A girl in my sophomore year of high school who thought there were 6 months in a year. She was really nice, but very surprised and confused when we tried to set her right. Edit. For those asking which months she would have included in her version of a year, I don't think she thought that far ahead. A girl in my art class in high school thought there was just a part of the cow called meat. When we explained meat is the muscles, she freaked out and became vegetarian. One time my now ex-girlfriend was watching Maury Povich, one of those paternity test episodes with the classic "you are not the father" moment, and she turns to me and says, "If we ever have a baby and I found out I'm not the mother, I'll kill you." Thankfully we didn't end up reproducing. Was working at a grocery store over a decade ago. I wouldn't call the kid dumb, because he just didn't know. It's more of a funny thing. He was new and the manager asked him to face the store. When he asked what he could do, facing means you make sure the aisles look nice and neat and that the product is pulled forward and visibly facing you as you walk down the aisle. The kid couldn't be found until someone told the manager one of the workers was just standing in the parking lot facing the store. I will never forget that. Edit. Holy guacamole. Thanks the gold and silver's kind strangers. Oh lord, strap in. This is a ride. Let me tell you about Sarah. Now, Sarah was, and remains to be, one of the sweetest girls I've ever met. She's the sort of girl who would give you the shirt off her back and not think twice. The sort of woman who would allow a stranger to stay in her home without question. She routinely gives money to charity and helps volunteer. She really is an angel. But Christ, is that girl dumb. When we were in high school, I mentioned that I one day wanted a small farmette, something just big enough so I could raise chickens. I've always liked chickens, and you get fresh eggs too. She looked at me like I had 3 heads and said, if you want eggs, you need goats. This girl had made it to our senior year in high school without knowing where eggs came from. Our class was talking about a fellow student who had been diagnosed with a very serious illness. His girlfriend announced that he had realized something was wrong when he began urinating blood. Sarah piped up with, oh my god, he isn't sick. He just got his period. I've had mine for like 4 years. Sarah and I were once driving her car in the late 90s and her car battery died. We were only a mile away from my house, so I walked there, grabbed my car, and headed back. I parked and lifted her hood. She asked what I was doing. I told her I was going to connect the jumpers because her battery had died. This girl looked right at me and said, my car runs on gas, not batteries. She legitimately had no idea that fish, the food, came from actual living fish. She decided she wasn't going to eat meat anymore. She would text me at all hours asking if the food she was about to eat was meat or not. I literally had to coach this woman. We were well out of high school at this point on what meat products come from what animals. She still doesn't believe that tofu isn't from an animal. She thought France was in Canada. She thought all of South America was like North America and one single country. She didn't believe that there was a North and South Pole. She asked me how planes ever got where they were going when the earth was spinning so fast, and then followed up with, oh, I get it. They just go up and sit still until the place comes to them, right? She thought hippos were made up, like unicorns. My former boss was worried that the island of Manhattan would sink with all the extra visitors for New Year's and the ball dropping. She thought islands float, and when she found out that wasn't true, she thought it was so funny that she told everyone the story. She was later fired for withholding a pay raise from someone on her team because he didn't accept her sexual advances. He had the texts to prove it. I remember a guy I knew in middle school who put money into a vending machine and then his item didn't come out. Then he put more money into the machine and 2 of the item he wanted came out. He then exclaimed, alright, 2 for 1. I was working retail at the time, and this lady walks in and asks me to tell her when it is 10:15 AM she needs to catch a bus. We were slow, so I obliged. 10:15 AM rolls around and I tell her, so she drops her stuff and runs out to get the bus. 5 minutes later she comes back, it's scowling, and she then lectures me on how to tell time. How much is a quarter? 25 cents. So why would you tell me a 10:15 AM is 10:15 AM? It's 10:25 AM. Had a girl I worked with at McDonald's, sweet as could be, but denser than the concrete the store sat on. 2 moments stand out to me. She thought the Great Wall of China was in Arizona. She firmly believed north was whatever direction you were looking at the moment. A coworker of mine sent an email to our company's global mailing list. Our company has 5,000 employees. The email contained a 1 GB attachment. It shut down the entire company for a day. Thanks for watching. Did you enjoy this video? Subscribe for more.